So in the last video, I gave a little bit of a demo of the baseline that we have in version 1 of the Pragmatic Auto-Translator that we'll be building upon as we go through and refactor code and add new features for version 2. One of the major pain points that we had when working on version 1 of this application is just the very long amount of time that it takes to manually build a corpus, not only to build the corpus, but then to convert the corpus documents to JSON format so that they can then be run through a vectorization program in order to produce the vectors that we need in order to conduct similarity searches between source content for translation and the existing content that we have in our corpus so that we can pass context on to the translation model. And so in the following videos, I'm going to be addressing the manual process that we've been following to build our corpora. I'm sharing these videos on the manual process that we've been following to build the corpora because I think it's important to understand the manual process that we've been following when going through and thinking about automating this process. First, we need to understand what does it look like when we do it manually. And so I'll just show an image here. This is the manual corpus processing workflow. It's an illustration of that, where the first step that we have is corpus curation. Corpus curation is a step that will not be automated throughout any iteration of this project. It's important that we have humans curating the corpora that we're working on, that we're plugging into the system, because we want to make sure that we have high quality corpora that are informing our translation system. This is very important because the whole hypothesis that we're testing for this project is that a corpus-informed approach to translation will derive better translation quality when it comes to automatic translation, as opposed to the traditional paradigm of sentence-by-sentence processing. A foundational principle of our project is also that corpora need to be curated by people. We're following very closely the principles that are outlined in a paper by Emily Bender and Timnit Gebru, along with additional authors. The paper is called On the Dangers of Stochastic Parrots. It's necessary to read that paper for this if you're working on this project. If you haven't read it yet, please read that paper because it informs our entire approach. And our entire approach is that the problem with large language models and with current machine translation systems is that there's a lot of opacity, or it's not very clear where the sources that these systems have been built upon are coming from. And as Bender and Gebru point out in their paper, along with the additional authors, the major problem that we have with LLMs is that the resources that inform LLMs have not been curated. They've just been scraped. And they've been scraped from the internet. And that means that there's some issues with the content, right? Because the internet tends to be biased towards people, young men writing from developed countries in English, and the contents on the internet tend to display a lot of biases, homophobia, sexism, racism, et cetera, that then get amplified when that data is pulled into a system like a large language model. And there's the attempt afterwards to do some build in the capability to sort of weed out problematic content rather than preventing the problematic content from informing the system in the first place. So our approach is very much human-centered around the corpus curation piece, where it's going to be individuals deciding what content goes into the corpora that inform our automatic translation approach. We're starting by building corpora in the domain of generative AI. We're starting within the domain of generative AI because that's the domain that I selected to start the project with. I selected that domain to start the project with because it's a domain that I'm familiar with, having taken courses, taken a certificate program on generative AI. And because a lot of people are talking about it right now. And so it just is a good use case to kind of establish baselines for our system and see if we can get something up and functioning. So I want to keep the videos short, so I think I'm going to stop this video here. In the next video, I'm going to talk about some of the specific challenges of corpus curation and what are the strategies that we should follow as humans curating the corpora that are going to inform our corpus-informed approach.